Okay, so now let's start with the liberation formula. So at this point, people are going, okay, I can see what I'm doing. I'm seeing my pattern very clearly. What the heck do I do about it now so that I can actually have what I want? Right? Okay. So on your handout, Elise, you'll notice the one that has the core story up top and the liberation formula down below.
Hmm.
You'll notice there's 4 steps to the liberation formula. Okay. We have the first step, that is recognizing the story. The second step, which is loving presence. The third step, which is question affirmations. And the fourth step, which is inspired action. Okay, those are the 4 steps. But the second step is where we're going to spend most of the time today, because that is the step that changes everything. That is the alchemy of it. This is the whole step that really changes the pattern. Okay. The last 2 steps are about how to move forward into the future. Okay. All right. So the first step, you got to interrupt your pattern, right? You got to catch yourself when you're in it. And what's going to happen is throughout your day, you're going to start recognizing, now that we're aware of it, you're going to start recognizing that you actually do it more than you thought you did.
Okay.
Okay. So at this point, I'm going to invite you, please be very gentle with yourself. Some people have come back to me and they said, man, that put me right in depression because I recognized everything is my mechanism. I'm doing everything I'm doing all day long from mechanism. And it was very discouraging. Okay. You might not be that person. You've probably done enough work and what have you that you've already pulled yourself out of mechanism a lot. I don't know because I don't know you, right? But you seem like you've probably done a lot of work.
Well, thanks.
So you anyway, just be aware. Throughout your day, you're going to be aware of this pattern and aware of this pattern, aware of this pattern. And then when you catch yourself in the pattern, like for example, let's say you caught yourself making a phone call to a friend and you're in the middle of the phone call and you go, oh my goodness, I'm trying to get this feeling from this friend. Or maybe you're in a conversation with your husband, or you're planning a date with your husband because you're trying to get that feeling from him. Okay. You're going to catch yourself and you're going to interrupt it. And you're going to go, okay, I gotta go. Because you know what I mean? You don't even need to tell them why. You just go, hey, I gotta go. You hang up the phone and then you start going within. Okay. So that's an interrupt of the pattern, is to stop doing whatever it is you're doing. So when you do that, you start interrupting it here, which is the first step. Okay. You interrupt it in your brain. The second step, which is your loving presence. There's a whole paper, a whole handout, and I've broken the loving presence into 6 steps all by itself. Okay. So pull that handout up.
Okay.
And for the people watching, I'm going to do my best to make sure the handouts are in YouTube. I've never added handouts to YouTube, but I think you might can do that. I hope so. If not, we'll get you them somehow. You can reach out to us through email. However, get the handouts yourself if you want. Okay, so this handout, there's 6 steps to, and the first one is to face it. Okay, what are we facing? We're facing the emotion that comes up when we interrupt our pattern. So there's a whole reason we're doing that pattern in the first place, is because there's something we're believing that's not true, and that's always surrounded by a feeling. Always. We have emotion, right? And underneath emotion is 99% of the time there's a belief system, there's a story, there's some mindset that's going on underneath that emotion. And I don't care if it's a happy emotion or a sad emotion or whatever, there's a story that's going on underneath it. Okay. So when you interrupt your pattern and you decide, okay, I'm not going to do that, emotions are going to be present. So you want to turn and you want to look at the emotion. Okay, that's the first step. The second step is you want to start breathing. So when we humans want to not feel an emotion, the first thing we do is we either stop our breath or we start breathing shallowly up into our chest. Okay, and it's like right, which puts us into fight or flight, which therefore creates trauma, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we do that to avoid emotion a lot of times. So the idea is to start breathing deep in your belly at that moment. So you turn, you look at the emotion. Oh, I got some sadness going on, or maybe you got anger, or maybe you got fear, or maybe whatever. And you go and you look at it and you start breathing deeply. And when this happens, it allows passage for that emotion through your body. You are allowing it to go flow through every aspect of your being. Okay. So you want to do the breath secondly. Third, you want to feel the emotion. So this looks like being present with the emotion. It looks like observing the emotion. It looks like allowing the emotion to be exactly as it is without trying to run from it, without trying to hide from it, without trying to do any mechanisms to cover it up. And we humans have a lot of mechanisms that we use to cover it up. Oh, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm strong. I'm
Or a positive affirmation or
or
something.
positive affirmations
Yeah.
or so many things. So we can use absolutely every skill against ourselves. Every skill that we're trying to use to move ourselves forward, we can actually use it against ourselves. And I've seen it the most in this area, trying to avoid emotion. We can do anything to avoid emotion. The idea is to face it, breathe, right? And start looking at it and really go there. And what's probably going to happen is you're going to uncover deeper and deeper emotion. And you'll probably uncover the the stories that are in the subconscious around this. Okay. So be aware of that. I tell you that right from the beginning. I want you to go in fully conscious and not be surprised that this will probably start pulling up some stuff. Okay. And as much as you can breathe and allow that to happen, the better. So I would like to give you an experience of what I'm talking about instead of just a cognitive understanding. And anybody watching can also follow along. Okay. And it's a real quick little kind of a meditative place to be in. So, and I'm going to do it with you too. So go ahead and close your eyes. And we're going to turn and we're going to face our body because that's where emotions live. And start breathing deep in your belly. And then start to observe any sensation that's happening in your body. So emotion tends to show up as sensation. Not all sensation is emotion, but all emotion has sensation. So just start observing and watching any sensation that is occurring in your body right now. And there's nothing to do with this. You just observe it. That's all you're doing. And breathing, observing and breathing, observing and breathing. And if the sensation changes, go and see if there's another sensation. Or stay with that one if it changes into a different sensation. It's what you're looking for. That's what you're observing is sensation. Okay, cool. When you're ready, go ahead and come back to the room and open your eyes. Great. So emotion comes with sensation. So when you're sad, you'll oftentimes feel like sensation here. You'll feel sensation in your face. You feel sensation in your chest, right? Like a lot of people talk about heaviness in their chest when they're sad, right? If you're dealing with anger, you might have like tightness in your neck. You might have a headache, right? You might have like your back might be sore. Like there's places in our body that we literally carry the emotion, right? And it triggers this sensation. So we want to when emotion starts arising, if we will observe the sensations of the emotion, we'll be able to allow that emotion just to flow through our body, especially if we're not in judgment of it.
Marinna.
Yeah.
So could I kind of clarify or understand? Are you telling Elise that say she's in the kitchen doing her stuff and it's got kids happening, all kinds of racket, and she finds herself with an emotion, maybe I don't know, just anger or a story, a negative story going on, would she go and do what we just barely did? Would she say, hey, give me a few minutes so she could go feel what there is to feel? Is that why we did the practice
Yes.
just now?
So, but and the thing is you don't always have to leave the room. Like in the beginning, you may need to just so you have that space. But after you
Okay.
get practiced with this, you can do it in the moment with your eyes open.
Okay.
right?
Okay.
I would say the first thing, start breathing. Start breathing. And then, as much as you can, observe whatever's going on inside your body. Pretty soon, this becomes second nature, and you're observing what's going on in your body all the time. Even when you're talking, you're observing what's going on in your body. It's like our awareness stretches to be able to be doing both things at the same time.
So we won't come from mechanism as often because we'll catch ourselves in mechanism and go, okay, I'm going to
Yeah.
breathe into this.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you have any questions thus far, Elise?
Nope.
Okay.
Good.
Awesome. All right. So the next piece of this, after feeling the emotion, is to receive it. So most people aren't in the habit of receiving emotion. And I don't know if we've talked about this in our class or in our videos, Janet, or not, but I'm going to talk about it again because repetition doesn't hurt, right?
Yeah, true.
So there's a couple of ways that I've been guided to talk about receiving emotion. And one is a masculine way of receiving, and one is a feminine way of receiving. Okay. Both are awesome. But what I will say is the masculine form of receiving tends to come in if you struggle receiving emotion. So most of us with emotion are repelling. We're like resisting the emotion, right? We're like, no, I don't want to feel it. I don't want to feel it. I don't want to feel it. Right. And then some of us are accepting emotion and we're like, okay, I'm in emotion. Yeah, I can feel it. All right, I'll accept it. It's here. But receiving it takes it further. It's actually like bringing it into your body bigger. It's like, okay, you got all the space in the world. Bring it on, right? And so the masculine form of receiving emotion looks like literally breathing it into every cell of your being. Like, oh, I'm angry. Oh, I'm so angry. And then it's like, right? And you're breathing that anger into your whole body. Like that can scare some people to think about, right? Like, oh no, what am I going to do with it? But the key is if you're being present with the sensations in your body while you're doing that, you're not in action. You're not in action. You're not going to go beat the shit out of somebody, right?
Mhm.
You're observing, you're being present with what's going on in your body and you're breathing it all in. And then you just stay with it. So if it's sadness, you're breathing the sadness into every cell of your body. If it's shame, you're breathing the shame into every cell of your body. You're literally breathing it through, and then it has full permission to travel through. An emotion will not just sit around and last. Like their job is to move. Emotion is energy in motion, right? So energy is moving, and the energy will only last, the emotion will only last if you're stuck. If you haven't allowed it to move through your body, it gets stuck, and then it's like nowhere to go. And so then you're like angry forever because you're not being present with it. You're not breathing. You're not allowing it to flow through your body. Once you're present with it and allow it, flows through, and it goes and it does its thing. Okay. Okay. So that's the masculine form of receiving the emotion. And I suggest if people have a challenge with this, to practice the masculine form first. The feminine form of receiving is a complete relaxation of the entire body. So let's say you're feeling grief or some trauma or something comes up, right? And you got this big emotion going on in your body. You want to completely, totally relax every muscle in your body. And you're still breathing, but it's not a forced breathing. It's a complete relaxation of everything. And when you can do this, the energy has full permission to completely permeate every aspect of your being, and it moves through rather quickly. Okay, any questions?
Do you have any questions, Elise?
No, I'm good.
I have one thought. Marinna is so fanatical with emotions that she says no emotions are bad, not even
Right.
anger. Like
Right.
our my first instinct is to go get it out of my system.
Yeah. That's a lot of our problem, because the mindset of humanity is that emotion's bad, or that negative emotion is bad, or the uncomfortable ones are bad, right? And they're not. It's just energy moving through the body. That's it. We make up stories about it. We take action that hurts other people, and the action probably isn't going to produce positive results in your life, right? If you take it out on another person.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that it's negative. Doesn't mean it's
Okay.
bad. Yeah. Thank you.
All emotions are good because they're kind of like a roadmap to get us to where we want to be, right?
Yeah, you could look at them that way. I don't even like to call them good, because if you have the good, then you got to have the bad too. I like the opposites, right? I think they're all in service. And yeah, people could argue with me and say, "Well, that's good, isn't it?" Yeah, it is. It's just in my own mind, I prefer not to call them good or bad. They
They have
are
function.
It's energy. They have
Yeah.
function, right?
Okay.
It is whatever we label them to be. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. I love that. I love that you are, instead of us going, okay, we're going to cover this up with a positive affirmation,
Mhm.
we're just going to feel it. We're just going to acknowledge it and feel it, receive it.
Yeah. And there's a lot. I'll just chat a little bit while Elise is out of the room, but
Yeah.
um there's a lot of things that people will do to cover up an emotion, right? And I know we've talked about this a little bit, but there's so many things in the world today that's designed to clear emotion, right? Like
Yeah.
you'll hear
Yeah.
people nowadays, and it's getting really popular. Yeah, I'm going to go get some emotional clearing done. And I've even dabbled in that world quite a bit, actually. And I don't want to say that this is bad, because I don't think it's bad. I think there's a time and a place for everything. And I think it's all about the intention that's behind it. All action, it's about the intention behind the action. Are you clearing emotion so that you don't have to face it? Right? Are you
Yeah.
tapping so that you don't have to face
Right.
emotion?
Right.
If you are doing it for that reason, the emotion's going to come back.
Because you're generating this emotion.
Yes. You haven't faced the whole reason you're feeling the emotion in the first place. It's like the tapping and the clearing and all of this. It's again, it's not a bad thing, but it's like weeding the garden and just pulling the tops of the weeds off and leaving the root. The weeds are going to
Yeah.
grow back. You can
Yeah.
clear all the heck you want, and it's great, and you'll feel much better in the moment, and that's great. If that's what you want, then go for it. But if you want to heal it at the core and pull that weed up from the root, then this is how you do that.
Sweet. Elise, we just took a side note there for a few minutes, but I think we was on the love it piece, right, Marinna?
Mm-hmm. So the next step is what will bring you the thing you want the most. Okay. And it is the love it step. So before I move to the love it step and start explaining it, this step is the biggest one that has the biggest chance of you being used against yourself too. Okay. It's the most transformative if you use it correctly, but it'll also be the one that limits you if you use it incorrectly. So the way you would use it incorrectly is you would use it to try to avoid emotion. Okay? That's how you would use it incorrectly. You would use love to not have to feel. Okay. So loving it. I just barely did a whole thing on this one. Didn't we just talk about this too, Janet? The loving it piece, self-love? I don't remember. I'm doing so
No.
much these days, I forget what I'm doing, who I'm doing it with.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, so the loving it piece is literally giving to yourself the thing you are trying so hard to get. So this deep connection with a soul buddy that you're wanting from somebody outside of yourself, you learn to generate that feeling within yourself, and you get it to yourself, everything changes. Okay? You become your own soul buddy. And you're like, yeah, that's kind of what I've been trying to do all these years, right? But there's a way to do it that really works. And I want to give you that way. Okay? When you can give yourself this love consistently, you will be able to have the mirror that is life. You know how everything in life is a mirror of what's going on inside of us? You will have that mirror change. And I wouldn't be surprised if you had several best buddies, like where it was just like, oh, that felt so good. Okay? Because the mirror has to change. It has to. The mirror is only representing or reflecting what's going on in here. So when you give yourself that level of love, you will have it everywhere.
What
Okay,
does that look like?
yeah, that's where I was going. How? How do you give yourself that love? Okay. So lots of people think of self-love as doing nice things for themselves. And what I want to say about that is that the actions are the results, and people are trying to get there from the result versus the energy of the thing. So, what we're all looking for in like, why do we want to go take a bath? Because it makes us feel something, right? Why do we want to have a great conversation with somebody? Because it makes us feel something. We always are wanting to feel something. Okay. So, the fastest, the easiest, the best way to give yourself this feeling is to literally either tap into it or generate it within yourself. So that can take some practice. You might get there like that, I don't know, but it might also take practice. Okay, so I want to play a little bit with you to see where you are in the realm of being able to generate love or tap into love, and then we can go from there. Does that work?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to do that, what I'm going to ask you to do again is close your eyes and tune into your body and your breath. And what I'm going to ask is that you go ahead and generate love within yourself. And let me know if this is challenging at all. And what we're looking for is a feeling of love. And if that is at all challenging for you, then go ahead and think about something or someone that you love that way yourself, right? To help you generate that feeling. And just a reminder, keep breathing big in your belly. Okay, where are you? Can you feel this love yet? And if not, that's okay.
It doesn't, it's almost like a not, but not fighting it.
Okay, okay, perfect.
It's
You're
small, but
willing,
it's full, but it's not like
not that deep, satisfying kind, right? Okay, great. But you can feel some love.
yeah.
Okay, great. Perfect. That's where I thought you were. Okay, so what I'm going to invite you to do now is to keep breathing, keep noticing the love, and then ask a question. What does this, you need a word for it. What does this soul buddy love look like? What does this soul buddy love feel like? What is it to feel this soul buddy? Whatever question sticks, okay? And just start asking that question and keep watching that love and keep tuning into that love. Keep inviting that love to make itself known to you. And just see what you notice. There's no pressure to get it today either, okay? Just whatever you can today. Okay, what are you noticing now?
Mm, like a heavier, just heavier.
Heavier? Does it feel like heavier sadness or does it feel like heavier love?
Neither. Just
Okay,
heavy.
just heavier. Okay, great. All right. So go ahead and bring yourself back to the room. And I want to talk about this for a minute.
Okay.
Okay. So love is a big one for so many people on this planet, right? There's some people who can't even do what you did. There's a lot of people actually who can't even go to the level that you did. And I come across them all the freaking time. So hopefully you're not having any stories, anything going on around your head like, oh, I didn't get there, I didn't get there. Okay. This is actually what I expected. So this is a really great teaching opportunity too. So this is fabulous. So the feeling that you're generating, if it doesn't come easily, when you're thinking about someone who has done this, right? All you need to do is ask a question. So I want to give an example from my own life so you can see what's possible here. Okay. So I had I actually saw someone's post online, and it was in the form of a question. It was like a yoga teacher. So anyway, somebody, and they asked this question. They said, what is silence? But for me, I was more curious about stillness than silence. Okay. So what is silence? And she was talking about asking that in meditation. So I'm like, oh, I don't know. What is silence? All the gurus talk about silence or stillness. For me, I prefer the word stillness. And so I got curious about that, and I took it into meditation. And I'm like, what is stillness, right? What is that? What is it? And I just started meditating with this every day. And it took about a month. Well, over that month, I started dropping deeper and deeper and deeper into stillness in my meditations. Okay. And I started to have a deeper experience of what stillness is just by asking the question. And then about a month worth of doing this meditation, I opened up into a level of stillness I didn't know existed. Okay. It was a level of stillness that I was able to see and experience. It was different than seeing. I experienced that everything that has form comes from stillness. Like stillness is first, and then everything that is made comes from that stillness. And I don't know how to explain it because this was an experience of it. Okay. Why I'm sharing this is because I'm inviting you to do the same thing. Even if you don't know what this love feels like, that's okay. All you have to do is ask. Ask and you shall receive, right? Like, there's so much truth to that. Ask. It's all about the question, and not answering the question. So you're going to go into meditation however often you want to do it, whatever feels yummy to you, whatever feels delightful. What I will say is the more you do this, the more you practice, the faster you'll get there. The faster you'll become your own soul buddy, right? And then you ask, what is this feeling? What's your word for it? So I can use your word.
What did I say? An all mind friend. All mind friend.
Mind friend. Okay, so what does an all mind friend love? What is that? What is that feeling like? However you want to verbalize that question, get that question really clear in your mind. And then you just keep asking it, and you keep asking it, and you keep asking it. And as you ask it, you tune in to notice, to start looking. You start looking for that feeling. You start looking for that feeling. You're going to drop deeper and deeper and deeper into that feeling. And then when you get to that feeling, start giving that to yourself every day, every day, every day, every day. And it will start to become second nature. And pretty soon the relationship that you develop here will be that relationship. And when that relationship is there, you will start calling it forth in the outside world. First off, you won't need it from anybody else. And then everything you get will be extra. Everything you get will be like, oh my goodness, I didn't know I could feel that with my children. Oh my goodness, I didn't know I could feel that with, money. I didn't know I could feel that with my husband, right? Because you've given it to you. Now the mirror is going to show it to you everywhere. And then who knows? You might even have that best friend show up, boom, and they'll be there. It might be somebody you already know. I don't know how this is going to work for you. All I know is this is the key. This is the key. Giving it to yourself. And doing it consistently. Giving it to yourself consistently. Because there's that little girl inside of you that is desperately waiting for you to come and be with her, for you to come and be her soul, her, dang it, I keep forgetting your words. All mine. Was it all mine?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
mine, friend. Your little girl is still waiting in whatever dark crevice of your heart she is for you to come and be her all my friend, mine friend.
Yeah.
And
I want to,
that's the alchemy right there. That's what changes it all, is that piece. But you can't get to that piece if you're not willing to feel emotion. Okay, so the emotion comes first. You got to feel the emotion and be with the emotion and all of that. And then you go give her. You go give that. And you can give this any part of the day. You don't have to be in, interrupt the pattern. You don't have to do all that. You can give her this morning, noon, night, anytime in between. But specifically give it to her after you walk yourself through interrupting the pattern, feeling the emotion. Then you give her the love, right? Okay. This is good.
Elise,
You're such a beautiful soul.
yes, she is. She is such a beautiful person. Elise, I'm sitting there feeling, when she said, what kind of a friend, what would a friend make you, what's the feelings of a soulmate friend? And I'm going to, well, you would trust them. You would lose track of time. You would enjoy them so much, you lose track of time. And you trust them that they don't abandon you with other stupidity, or that they would tell you if they have problems, or all these things, And then the thought came to me, if we can feel love and we can generate that love, we can generate that trust that we won't leave ourselves and abandon ourselves. And that friendship will be with us, right?
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
My heart's activated. You guys' hearts look like they're activated too. Thank you so much, Elise, for being willing to go here. This is just so precious.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so the final step of the alchemy of the second step, the final step of the second step is to honor it. Okay, so honor the whole experience. So I love to tell this dream that I had, because this is how I was taught it. And it also is such a great example of what I'm talking about. So I want to share this dream that I had. It's very short. And I was taught this concept that I'm going to share with you today. So in my dream, my husband and I were sitting on the bed talking, and in the door walks a little demon. And I've dreamed about demons my entire life. I'm not scared of them. Like, I've loved them. I've talked to them. I've all kinds of stuff. And I turned and I looked at the demon and I said, John, the only thing that I haven't done with this guy is honor him. And I got down on the floor, put my head on the floor with my arms out like this, and I honored the demon as sacred. And the demon changed before my eyes into a guru. And he and I would walk on the beaches and he would teach me. So this is what is possible in those places that we judge as demons, right? The shame we judge as a demon. The whatever, the experiences, we judge experiences as demons. We judge all kinds of stuff as demons within ourselves. I mean, it's even called our own inner demons. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the stuff we judge, but they are actually our gurus in disguise. So this experience you're having is your sacred experience. It is the launching pad with which you will skyrocket your rocket ship, right? It is the launching pad for you. So if you can honor the whole experience as sacred, like when you're in it, when you're like going, wow, this is a big one, right? Like, or in those moments when you're like, dang, I still can't get that feeling, right? Like, I want that feeling within myself now. Like, any moments like that, if you can go, you know what? This is my sacred moment. This is my sacred experience. Everything inside of you changes and you can receive in a different way, much deeper way. So this is like the cherry on the ice cream, It's like, it's not necessarily needed to accomplish anything, but boy, does it help. It just adds, So I like to give it to people as sort of like that extra little oomph for people. Okay.
So I had a little thought right there, if I can insert that for a minute.
Thank you, Janet.
So sometimes there's this book I just love, 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 and I've mentioned it quite a few times, but it didn't start with you. And in that book, the author talks about how we inherit emotions and things sometimes from our parents or grandparents or whatever. And so I look at things like anger or my story, something is wrong with me, could have actually, I don't know if it came from something that happened in my life. It could have, but it could have also passed down from generation to generation.
Yep.
And so when I honor what it told me about me and that my parents dealt with it too, like I feel a lot more like I honor that emotion or that experience, because I could actually be doing, work for my parents and my grandparents. And
That's
so
beautiful.
it's the emotion or the story that brought me here.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And the emotion is sacred. I don't care what emotion you're feeling. It's an opportunity for your rocket ship to take off, right? Or it's your opportunity to turn and not look at yourself again. And that is sacred. That's a sacred moment. I love it. I love it, Janet, because yeah, you're so right. Like we can totally be passing and carrying and blessing our ancestors by doing this work too. Like I'm kind of to the point where I'm like, I think all of life is sacred, right?
I
All
think
of
so
life
too.
is sacred.
Yes, I agree.
But I didn't used to think that. Boy, I didn't used to think that at all.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So that takes us to the end of the second step of the liberation formula. So we have 2 more steps to go, but we've been through the biggest part of this. So the third step is like, okay, now what? Now what? How do I make sure my actions are still just coming from essence instead of mechanism again, right? Or am I just going to be interrupting these mechanisms forever, right? So these last 2 steps actually help you move into essence so that your actions, all your actions, can come from essence. So we've already actually kind of talked about this step, and that is the power of questions. Questions are like a magic wand, literally. Ask and you shall receive. How you ask also makes a difference. If you're asking, why is life so stupid? You're going to call forth experiences of why life is so stupid. But if you're to ask, like, ooh, how can I feel this wonderful emotion? That's what's going to show up, right? So here I'm going to invite questions that help you move forward in life, such as, what would life look like if I couldn't believe this anymore, right? What if this wasn't true? What if there is a friend out there, right? Like create questions that help you go into possibility, move forward into the world of possibility. Okay. So we want to create maybe like 10 questions and put those in your phone somewhere, something you have on you all the time. And then when you're moving through this process, we want you to pull out your phone and ask those questions at this point. You've already done the love, you already felt feeling, you already done the love, and now you're to the question point and you're like, okay, well, what is the action that's going to move me forward? That can be one of your questions. What is the action that's going to move me forward? What's going to help me come from essence more than mechanism, right? Like, how can I be living in so much alignment with this feeling in my heart that life becomes pleasurable everywhere I go? Everything, you know what I mean? Like the sky isn't the limit for questions. You can ask whatever question you want, right? Come up with about 10 of them and put them in your phone. And I'll let you do this on your own time because I'd really like you to sit with them and ask. And one of my favorite questions in the whole world is, what is the best question to ask? Right? What's the best question to ask that's going to get me where I'm wanting to go the fastest? So sit down when you have time and come up with about 10 questions that's going to help you to move forward. And then include in those questions the one that I already said, which is something like, what's the next best action for me to take that's going to help me to start having my actions come from essence. Okay. And then with this one, you want to actually listen. You want to listen for the answer. All the others, you're not going to answer. You're just going to ask them and go on your day. You're going to ask them, have fun asking them, feel the amazing world of possibilities asking them, right? And then you're going to go on your day. But end with that question of what's the next right action step, and then listen, because it could be the very same action you were about to make before you interrupted the pattern, right? It could be the exact same action, or it could be a completely new action. It might be, you know what, just go sit with your babies right now. Or go have a conversation with Janet. Or, you know what I'm saying? And if you're listening, if you're following that inspired action, this is actually what I look at every single time most of the time, I'm not trying to say I'm perfect at this yet, but this is what my intention is to have all my actions come from inspiration. Right? So I'm like, is this an inspired action I'm about to take? And if it's not, I don't want to do it. If it's an inspired action, then I know I'm not doing it to try to get something, to try to get love, or to try to get attention, or to try to get, right? Because if I'm doing it to try to get something, I'm in mechanism. But if I'm doing it because I'm inspired to do it, then life starts blossoming around me and it just seems to flow. And I seem to be way more fulfilled. Okay, questions, thoughts, any shares that want to come up at this point?
I was going to mention, if you find you're in mechanism, that's the same thing as being on the triangle, true?
Mm-hmm.
The drama triangle? Okay.
Yep. So take a look and see, do you feel clear on how you're going to move forward in your life with this piece?
Yeah, I can see kind of a path.
Awesome. And if you ever are needing any support, right? I'm sure you already probably do this, but reach out to Janet, right?
Yeah.
Or
love.
me, really. I'm happy to support you too. But since you and Janet are so connected, I assume that's probably where you're going to want to go, is reach out to Janet and get that support, because that has made all the difference in the world when the people have gotten support through it. Because sometimes you'll just be like, I am so in my story right now, I just can't even remember what to do. Right? Call up Janet. She'll remind you. She'll help you remember what to do.
It is nice to have a buddy. It almost feels like it's an addiction for you to do these mechanisms and have these thoughts. It almost feels like an addiction of some sort.
It is, yeah.
And then you get this person that you can kind of bounce it through and go, wow, I'm sitting right in it. I know when I took Marinna's class for 6 months, a few months ago, then we had this chat that we would constantly, a Telegram chat that we would, throughout the day. If somebody was sitting in their crap and didn't know quite what to do, sometimes you freeze. You don't want to do it the same way, but sometimes it's like, now what? What do I do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now what? I want to do it different, but I don't know how.
Yeah.
Yep. Reach out to her.
Okay.
I hope that I get to hear when you land on that feeling and start generating it inside yourself. So if you feel called to share that with me, Elise, I would be so grateful to celebrate with you when you land on it. Okay. Thank you for just being so brave and willing and courageous to face into it this deep and on camera to boot. So really appreciate it. I imagine it could help a lot of people.
Yeah, I hope it does.
Thank you, Marinna, for showing me some more hands-on on how to do this. I can see that my last class was a little bit backwards. So this Saturday, I'll have to kind of go here again and just see what I can do. And maybe Elise will be my buddy with this next class. Thank you.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Do it together. Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure and an honor. And a gift to be able to give to people. I feel like I was given a gift to go, here, you get to free yourself and have what you want. And here, you get to free yourself and have what you want too. We all get to have what we want.
Yeah.
And here's a way to do that.
Get your cake and eat it too, right?
You can have your cake and eat it too. You don't have to be the only kid left out.
Yeah,
Happen what you
Yeah.
really want.
yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. And thank you to all of our viewers, everybody watching. They stuck through this whole thing. Good job, people. This is big. And if you have questions, of course, put them down below. We can definitely answer whatever questions we can there, or reach out to Janet or myself and get some more support for yourself to dive deeper and free yourself so you can have what you want to. Anyway,
It's pretty normal. It's pretty normal after learning this to start. Well, it was for me anyway. Maybe it wouldn't be as much for the people viewing this video, but it was very normal for me to try to debunk it and try to go, in my mind, I'm like, but Marinna doesn't have the same kind of life I have. So she doesn't understand my stresses and my how do you put this in real life was
yeah.
it felt good right now in class, but now how do I do this in real life? So if you post comments after this video, it'll open discussion and we will learn how to put it into regular life.
Yes, all of that helps so much. Like your ability, Janet, to be able to bring up real life circumstances, right? I think helps a lot. And other people have done this too, where they bring up real life experiences. Okay, how do you use it here? It makes a big difference, and it helps everybody else too.
Yeah.
So we
I
can
mean,
even
you could,
do a Q&A video,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
if we need to,
questions down below, and Janet and I will be happy to do a Q&A video.
yeah, we can do that. We can gather up the questions and make an actual, yeah. It's kind of like somebody telling you, Elise, before you had any babies, what labor would be like. And then you get in it and you're like, hey, what do I do? What the crap? I guess you breathe. Of course I'm going to breathe or I'd pass out. Right. So.
Yep.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you, guys. Okay, I guess we will see everybody in the next video.
Love it.